Hello, MouseHunt, and welcome to Feedback Friday for, what day is it today? It's July 7. It is July 7, 2023. Greetings, everybody in the chat. Looks like we've got about 50 hunters hanging out. Well, good morning, afternoon, evening. Everybody hanging on out. Tarako, welcome in, saying, we have music, we have Dave. All right. Rocking out before we get started. Hello, Clay. Arctic, nice to see you. Morning back at you. Diamond, nice to see you. Elusive, you have collected 200 Chrome Bits and you're not sure what you're going to do with the vouchers yet. You have some time to think it over, decide a little bit. Sean, welcome in. Looks like you're going to get some Ultimate Charm crates. Always a good decision. Hey, Michelle Waven. Nice to see you, Michelle. Hello, Eric KDM. Arctic, that is what you're doing as well. You're going to get Ultimate Charms to help with your Valor Rift push. Always a good decision. Can't go wrong with some Ultimate Charms. Sean saying, good morning, Dave and Michelle. Hey, Nathan, nice to see you. Welcome on in. Tim, hey, back at you, Came. Nice to see you. I think I said hello to Tarako Arctic. Jonathan's coming on in. There's Zapke saying good morning. Jason. Ryan, hello from Singapore. Well, hello from Canada. YX saying hello. What did you have for breakfast? Asking the important topical MouseHunt questions. Actually, a little bit of cereal. A little bit of cereal, actually, and that triggered a bit of a debate between me and Dev Norm because it was the last cereal of the bag. And so I take a metal colander, a sieve, whatever you want to call it, over the garbage can, and I pour it to get all like the crumbs out, so that last bowl isn't overflowing with like cereal powder of all the previous bowls that ever came before it. And then, it's nice and crunchy. Now, Dev Norm informed me that he enjoys that. It's like an extra flavorful Super Bowl. It's like the last bowl's the best. And that's it. We had a little debate. I don't know how you all feel about your cereal, but these are the important questions, YX. We'll get to the bottom of it. Good morning, Lady Nutsy Sri. Hello to you. Jitty, welcome in. Hello from Thailand. Hello to you. Super Hamster, hello to you as well. Jonathan, that's amazing. There you go. Diamond thinks it's extra flavor. All right. We might find a new polarizing issue. These are the real important feedback questions is, do you like that cereal dust or not? All right. This is very important to the future of MouseHunt. We better get to the bottom of it. Hey, Norm's out there listening in, stands by it. Teach their own, whichever you prefer, If you like it, go for it. If you don't, well, I got to filter mine out a little bit. Jonathan's not a fan of the crumbs or the dust. Okay. Uh-oh, Eric doesn't like the cereal dust. Nada says no cereal. Cereal powder isn't my thing. All right, so it seems like this isn't that popular of a choice. Rare dust, cereal dust. There we go. Thank you. You know what? Potato's getting us back on topic, saying, when are we getting rare cereal dust? So we'll get back on the topic of MouseHunt. All right, we'll let the cereal topic lie. And we'll kick things off with a little sneak peek at what is to come after Ronza departs, which is actually about a week after Ronza takes off, and that is the Autoharp and Beanstalk treasure maps. So they're currently slated for August 1st. I was tempted to put a little asterisk next to that. It's looking pretty good. Everything's, functional. We're done. We're just kind of playing through it a little bit, making sure everything feels good the way it is. So it might be ready before that, and we might decide to bring it out a little bit sooner. But at least right now, I'm fairly confident that is about the latest release date that the Autoharp and Beanstalk maps will be August 1st. So, barring some catastrophe, you can look forward to both the Autoharp and maps coming out then. If you haven't joined us on previous Feedback Fridays or, not in the know here, the Autoharp basically prevents noise while it's active. So you turn this thing on, you can't make noise, but it consumes harp strings based on how much noise you would have made. So it's very nice too if you're at the last hunt in a room and you're going to make more noise than the bar can fill. The Autoharp kind of solves that problem as well. And we'll do even a little bit of a demo. I'll take things for a spin so you can see it firsthand, as well as treasure maps. So the treasure maps are taking shape. They cost relics and fertilizer. Again, grain of salt. Things are in development, but that seemed to shape up pretty well. And the fertilizer cost is there because we really wanted to leave space for keys and feathers in the maps. But without the fertilizer cost, it kind of created more feathers and keys and there just weren't enough mice on the map to be able to kind of enter the dungeon. Basically, the keys and feathers were starting to come in faster than the number of times you could enter the castle, which would mean you would never run out, which doesn't mean it's a very interesting resource to have to manage or maintain if you never run out of it. So we kind of add a little bit of fertilizer, and that just kind of put things back into a happier place. But alongside, there's some harp strings in the treasure map rewards, spore charms, and more. You know, the things you'd anticipate. Gold, points, ancient charms are all in there. Nor, some people dust treasure maps, you dust your cereal. Oh boy. There you go. Dallas has got your back though, Norm. Saying my kids fight over the dust. That is the best bowl, eh? Nathan's excited about the Autoharp. We'll take it for a little spin as well. I'll do a demo in just a minute or two so you can see it firsthand. Sometimes that's just the easiest way to understand something is to see it in action. Well, Judy, welcome back on MouseHunt. After 9 years, a 9-year break from the hunt, or did you hunt for the first 9 years of the game and are back from a 6-year break? Either way, welcome back. Hope you've been having fun. How many geese for the map? Alas, there are the map does not cost any geese. And the map does not have a chance to reward a goose, but it will reward things to help you get geese. You know, help you find larger loot drops and help you get to the geese and get those geese crafted. Beet potato? No, there are no beans in the treasure chests. It is a focus on keys and feathers, which can help you get beans. And help you target the type of bean you want. So we wanted to leave a little bit of space. Even when it comes to the giants dropping the keys and the feathers, you know, we kind of purposefully left that a little bit on the lower side, knowing we wanted to leave some reward space open for the maps, and we wanted the keys and the feathers to be rewarded for maps. And hopefully the nice thing there is keys and feathers will help you get any other resource that you need. So if you just get beans, but maybe you don't need lavish. I'm good. I got more than enough lavish. Then it's kind of, what am I supposed to do with these? But a key and a feather, well, if you have too much lavish and you currently need royal, you can go chase after the royal beans. So, you know, you can start to use your keys and your feathers, and this should provide a few more into the game as well, where you might consider using feather in more places than just the Great Hall. So imagine getting a key over a feather, big rip moment. Well, the maps, hopefully, they're a challenge, but you'll be doing enough of them, especially if you're the type to do a round robin with you and 4 of your friends. You know, they should pop up often enough, but that said, the key is, or the feathers are quite powerful, so it's not like every map is going to give you a feather. Sean's looking forward to the journal theme. That is one other note as well. Kind of want to put it out there. Just do a little bit of a temperature check. Journal themes come to the general store. And it's going to cost an amount of eggs, a pretty good amount of eggs, as well as just 1 goose. So it's kind of something you need to earn, and a number of eggs is more than the cost of 1 goose. So kind of the eggs are the main sort of thing you need to go and loot those all yourself, or you can try to make another goose yourself, or you can get a goose off the marketplace to finish off the theme. So it kind of has those 2 components going for it. I'll kind of put that out there as well, kind of see what sentiments lie. Again, big disclaimer, I didn't put it on the screen this time, I don't know why, but again, work in progress. And, you know, part of doing a little preview and putting things out there before they're released is, you know, often we'll see a poignant comment or you know, positive, or, you know, there's some criticisms out there, and then we have time to tweak things before they go out. So please take everything with a grain of salt. This is just kind of a snapshot of how things currently are, but not necessarily a guarantee of how they'll be when they release. Ice is just waiting for that Autoharp so you can go in the Great Hall. Tell you what, let's get to that demo, shall we? Where are we at here? 10 minutes beauty. So I'm going to dive in. I'm going to dive in here and show the Autoharp in action. Which floor should we go to Autoharp it up? Any suggestions? Ethan saying, why fertilizer instead of eggs and geese? Well, the maps are there to help you get eggs and geese. So it would be a little weird if they cost eggs and geese and the reward is things to help you get eggs and geese. It's kind of like taking, you know, 1 step forward, 2 steps back type thing. So it really wouldn't be a meaningful cost at all. All it would be is just kind of like drain your rewards a little bit rather than it being a resource that you're choosing to spend to you know, get an advantage going. Arctic loving the D&D skin as well. A lot of devs on the team as well. I've thoroughly enjoyed that skin, I think. Are we having a single type of map? You're really hoping one specifically for the beans. Yep, just one type of map. That's it. It gives key and feather. So if you're... it's a little bit of a risky play, but you could go in the dungeon and you could try to get your beans out of the dungeon with a key and a feather. Now, I don't know if that would be for everybody. School, that theme sounds expensive, but also expected for journal themes. Okay, cool. Hopefully that's in line with other journal themes are always a little above and beyond. They've kind of showed I really mastered this area, and I've been able to amass a lot of like kind of the high tier resources to be able to obtain this thing. Especially there's a few exceptions to the rule, but journal themes typically need to be kind of a badge of honor to show I've really kind of mastered this area. I've really figured it out for myself. And so, that's why we have geese, but the majority of the cost is in the eggs. So it's kind of like you need to kind of get ready to get all those eggs because eggs aren't tradable. The only way to get them is to hunt for them. But let's just hop in. Nando's saying the dungeon. All right, let's start in the dungeon. And we're going to use a key and a feather in a dungeon. Isn't that just a wild proposition? But let's just do it. Let's see how lucky we get. So now the nice thing here is I'm going to start leaping through the dungeon floors here. See if I can find some sort of ultimate tier room. So here's the familiar harp string interface that everyone's familiar with. There's another tab here. And, something similar effect going on mobile as well. And it's just a little easier to demo the browser version of the game on here because I'm on a computer. You can turn on the Autoharp. You can say, yeah, bam, I'm going to auto play. So the noise bar lights up just to kind of make it easy to see at a glance. Yo, something magical is happening. Your noise is frozen in place. Those harp strings are just going to take care of that noise. So now I'm just going to hunt like crazy here. And you can see my noise is just staying at 0. I'm not making any noise, but I'm losing. Right now my loop multiplier is 16, so I'm losing 16 harp strings every time I hunt to keep my noise at that level. Now if I make a little bit of a noise just so we can kind of see what's going on here. Oh, I got to turn off the Autoharp here. So you can kind of make a little bit of noise here. Hunting with lavish in a super lavish room is probably not a great decision, but we're just testing things out here. Hey, I got a crown. All right. So I can even see my noise just stays frozen at 40. We're going to leap. Are we going to settle for extreme? I don't think so. I don't think so. We used a key and a feather. We got to find it. Michelle said the Great Hall. We're starting in the dungeon here. Nathan, you're surprised that it doesn't cost a goose or an egg, eh? I think that would be a little strange, though, because you're spending something. You're spending the thing to do a map to get things to help you get that thing. That was a really confusing way to phrase it, but hopefully that tracked. We're going to keep on going. We're just going to keep on trucking. A feathered Great Hall, says Hank. I think we'll have to go to the Great Hall after this. Yeah, we better pay attention as well. Oh, ultimate room, wherefore art thou? We're looking, we're looking. Good thing we've got lots of harp strings. Hey, oh, Fleming popping in. Good morning, Fleming. Hope you're doing well. There it is. There it is. All right. Maybe, too, you did notice hidden up top there, courtesy of Dev Kelly, one of the very talented artists. All the floors of the castle, this is kind of why I wanted to go to the dungeon to start anyway. All the floors of the castle have their own unique header illustration. Now, unfortunately, the horn keeps popping up, so it's a little hard to appreciate it. But that's also going to make its way live with treasure maps. So even if you direct your attention right to the very top, you'll see this header illustration. Ooh, it kind of you get to see the ceiling of the dungeon. It's exciting stuff. All right, we'll crank this down here. Now, we got to remember to turn off the Autoharp. Here's the new caveat. Here's the thing to not forget to do when you find the room that you're looking for. Don't forget to turn off that harp. I can sound the horn. I'm going to give kudos to Dev Parham because I'm going to sound the horn from my watch right now because that's just about working again. Hey, look at that. Failed to catch. Oh, great. But that's coming soon. I think Dev Parham's just organizing the build. It's got the notifications working again. And now the watch actually has an app, which was sort of the challenge that we had to get it back in the App Store. Apple said, come on, you need to actually have an app. And whatever. It'll be upside down, but you can kind of see, you get your hunt timer on your wrist. We're covering all the bases. We're all over the place today. Hey, we've woken the giant. Chris is using a key in the dungeon right now. Nathan, do many people plant without keys and feathers? Yeah, quite a bit. But like I said, we wanted to leave a little bit of space. We wanted that to be the reward space for maps. And so this should hopefully open it up, make it a little bit more feasible. Probably enter a few more people's playstyles to start using keys and feathers in the ballroom. If not occasionally, at least a key in the dungeon. When you can see, there was the power of the Autoharp. I was able to find this ultimate room, and I just got to remember to turn it off, though. And that is kind of a new little bit of a challenge here. So we want to go to the Great Hall. Let's keep auto-harping it up, shall we? We're going to go to the Great Hall. I don't have a feather. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go with some treasure chests. And I'm going to open up a Bountiful Beanstalk treasure chest. And I got some harp strings. You know what? I'm going to open up a rare one. I got a key. I'm going to open up another rare one. Hey, I got a feather. All right, we're ready for the Great Hall. We are ready for the Great Hall. We've got a key. We've got a feather. You know, disarm my bait when I come on out of here. That usually seems to be the play. And again, you can see the beautiful artwork here that Kelly made. You can see the roof of the Great Hall, the ceiling. I guess the roof is the exterior of the top of a house and the ceiling's the inside, eh? Nathan hopes the fertilizer cost is low. Let's go to the cartographer and see what's going on. It is 20 fertilizers, so it is not going to break the bank by any stretch of the imagination. But it is just enough to kind of make everything work out into a good place where the keys and the feathers aren't entering the game faster than you're going into the castle. I didn't auto-harp it, but that's okay. I didn't need to. I got lucky this run. Or did I? Maybe, you know what? Maybe I'm about to go to bed, although I've got 84 leaping arm. That's a little bit treacherous. This opens the door, though. What else can we do? We can turn on the auto-harp here. And now it's not very stressful having to use this big, giant cheese. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of ruby in an extreme room. That's because we're just feeling fancy with it. But hey, because I got the auto harp on, I can't get chased out of this room unless I run out of harps. Sri, what is the chance of finding an ultimate bean room in a dungeon? It is probably the most rare room in all of the castle. Use royal cheese with the auto harp, please. There you go, Ice. That's exactly what we're doing. Back-to-back ultimate rooms. Let's just let the good times roll. Auto harp to the rescue. Normally, this would be very, very stressful to try to pull off the multi-ulti, as we called it during playtesting, but we're going to pull it off with the auto harp. My attention's a little divided between watching this go and watching the chat, but hopefully we'll not commit a blunder. Schoolwork MH art is always so good. Shout out to the Ronza skins specifically. They all look fantastic. Those are some gorgeous trap skins. It is a huge strength of the game. I mean, something we want to put at the forefront more. All right, alas, there we go. The good times are up. I'm going to stop playing the harp. You can see, look, I made it all the way through an ultimate room. I didn't have to manually play the harp, and I only have 96 noise going. That's just great. I wish I had a better prestige base. Yeah, this is just a vanilla prestige base. We need a better charm. Let's get the Rift Rainbow going here. We've got 30,000 of them. That seems a little excessive. Henko thinks you love the feature on the watch. Well, send the kudos off to Dev Parham's way. He did a great job. We had the notification up and working, but then Apple gave us just, maybe rightfully so. I'm out of bait. Apple gave us a little hard time, maybe rightfully so, saying you can't just have a notification. If you want to use a notification, you need to have an app. So we had to make a companion app, but fortunately, the new iOS widget, those views weren't that hard to translate. I don't want to diminish the effort, Parham, actually, because I think there was a little bit of a challenge to get it to go. But at least we had a strong design direction of, what should a watch look like. And then we're going to keep eye out. We kind of log every time somebody sounds the horn from the watch or the notification. And if we see it getting a lot of use, that'll be a good feedback signal to say, hey, let's expand it a little bit more. But we're going to keep an eye on that. All right, let's make some more ruby cheese. May as well finish off this room. The Ronza Kingbot skin is top tier, says Sean. Nigel, can we have skins that can be used on multiple traps, for example, both chromed and non-chromed? It is in the idea bank. Unfortunately, Nigel, no plans in the immediate future, but it is something we want to do, and it's just a matter of, the time constraints and where we're able to spend our time. But there's some other ideas floating around as well, just in terms of enjoying the cosmetic effect of a trap, to be able to enjoy the artwork without actually having that trap armed. And we kind of want to see if we can make that work before we open the door to kind of using a skin on multiple traps. Fleming, that is indeed really cool. Thanks, Dev Kelly. I'm loving that header art. I think the first time I noticed that, forgive me, I forget exactly who did the header illustrations for Queso Canyon region. I want to say it was Jacob. I apologize if it wasn't. But I liked how it sort of extended the scene a little bit. Maybe we'll even travel over there just to see what it's like, because I kind of like how this just extends it. It immerses you. It feels like you're in the room, and the game's UI has just been placed inside of the room with you. Let's go even take a look at what it looks like in Queso Canyon. I guess we'll use the right power type, right? We can kind of see even here, like it extends the scene a little bit. I mean, I got this disclaimer in the way a little bit. I don't know. I just kind of liked that. There was this like light bulb moment. Fleming back-to-back ultimate rooms. That's some DLU indeed. We got lucky on that first try-in. Aishi, you like that the Autoharp won't stress you to enter the Great Hall. Indeed. I mean, if you think you're going to be away, definitely, the Beanstalk is probably will become the most challenging area in the entire game. I think that's probably a safe bet. And I think, if anything, a good feedback signal we got is it's probably about as challenging as we want to go. And even during development and play testing, we were feeling that as well. Like the resource management here it's about as hard as it gets. But, hey, first Viceroy area, we just kind of leaned into it a little bit. Said, it's the highest ranked area in the game. It kind of ushers in, an era of maybe some Viceroy locations. So we kind of wanted to push the envelope on the difficulty. But it's definitely a challenging area, and it has an active element to it. There's phases to it where you need to really pay attention, but then there's other phases to it where you can sit back and relax. But hopefully the Autoharp helps you kind of sit back and relax a little bit more. Chris thinks you'll brave another great hall run. Sounds good. Let's go on back to the Beanstalk, shall we? Let's get back there. Sure, we'll use the right power type. It's usually a good idea. Maybe we'll just hunt on the Beanstalk for a little bit. What's a golden key? A giant's key? Yes, indeed. Is it not called a giant's golden key? Am I horribly mistaken? A giant's golden key. I just left out the word giant. And it's a golden goose feather. There you go. I had a typo on that first slide. My apologies. I called it a giant's feather. It is a golden goose feather. Eileen, welcome on in. Fashionably late as usual, you say? Well, better late than never. Welcome in all the same, Eileen. Well, Bastion, that's one main thing that keeps you from buying skins that you like, is if you may not use, or I assume the topic of you may not use the trap that the skin is for. Yeah, fair enough. And it's like I said, it's in the idea bank. It's not really sitting on anyone's sort of, task list or to-do list right now, but, it's something we would like to do. It's just we haven't found the right time and the right idea to really, execute it well. There you go. Keith, you did a dungeon run yesterday and you're lucky enough to find, you did an extreme bean room and you left with about 25k beans. There you go. And so maps will indirectly help us. You kind of, the keys and the feathers will be out there more than they are right now. So that might be a little bit more viable. I'd not feel like as big of a risk going in to maybe at least use a key and maybe a feather, especially if you've got the golden quill. That's going to be a lot of beans. Can we skip standard Beanstalk rooms? We went back and forth a little bit in testing of, when you go into the castle and you come back out, should you be where you left off on the beanstalk or should you be at a brand new random room? Ultimately, we landed on a brand new random room because kind of once you get the hang of the area, how you avoid the bad beanstalk zones is you make sure you have enough lavish harp strings and ruby or other resources so that whenever you go back on the beanstalk and it's not a very good zone, you go back into the castle and you do a castle run, and when you come out, you hope it's better. And that's how you kind of avoid the bad beanstalk zones, but it's a little bit more kind of got to plan ahead. You got to plan, 2-3 steps ahead to be able to dodge those zones. Make sure you don't kind of keep going into the castle, or if you skip an ultimate zone to go back into the castle, well, there was an opportunity to stockpile your beans a little bit more because you don't want to be in a situation where you're out of beans and you're on a standard zone. So it's kind of about planning ahead to avoid something bad rather than skipping ahead to look for something good. It kind of keeps a little bit more strategy, or it feels a little bit different. There's one more little thing to kind of figure out and strategize over when it comes to the beanstalk, as it is kind of a very strategic resource management style area. Tweety Driver, guten tag to you as well. Welcome on in. School for such a high-ranked area. Why are the traps so easy to get, eh? Well, I think there's just more traps in the floating islands. There's only 2 here. And, the intention, every area is a little bit different. And one feedback we took away from the floating islands was to try to not position traps all that much as stretch goals or that above and beyond. It can be challenging to earn, but there's a certain expectation that, eventually within a reasonable time frame, you should be able to get all the traps if you put your mind to it, for the most part. There's going to be some outliers here and there. And so, hey, if we had a time machine, we probably would have dialed back the floating islands a little bit, but it is what it is. So that's kind of player feedback in motion. These traps aren't, a 2-year adventure to go and earn them. And, hindsight, I think that makes sense as well. When new areas come out after that, you can kind of get yourself equipped and then go ahead and tackle the next adventure. And then the things you come back to really camp out a long time for, things like King's Crowns, like kind of extra above and beyond kind of, badges of honors, achievements for the sake of achievement style things. You can come back and you can work on those a little later rather than sort of mission critical. If I don't do this, then I feel like I can't move on to the next thing. Kelvin, can you please bring back the Desert Heater Base? You missed this. Alas, limited edition is limited edition, for better or for worse, but at least it's baked into the identity of the game. DSC, what's the next Rift area? To be honest, nothing's planned. No concrete plans. If I had to venture a guess, I would say probably the Tribal Isles, but there's no plans to actually do that. But if we decide to do another Rift location, probably Tribal Isles. Zealot, is the key and the feather drop rate increased? No, so it's staying the same on the Giants. The only thing that's going to change keys and feathers, and it should be somewhat noticeable, is when you finish a map. Dusted maps are guaranteed to have a key or a feather, whereas there's a chance to find one in the regular maps. And do I even have a scroll case? Hey, I do. We can even take a look at the map. Look at this. I'm not doing too bad for just soloing it here. Not too bad. You can see kind of preview the rewards, what to expect. This is an undusted map. We'll go ahead and upgrade it. Whoa, I've got a lot of rare map dust. And see, hey, as you expect, the points and the gold get doubled. You're still finding harp strings. The ancient strings are doubled. And now a key is common and a feather is uncommon. Alex, keys and feathers won't change the rate of ultimate magic rooms. Well, a key indirectly does. So it is easier to find ultimate rooms with a key because it removes, think of it like a deck of cards. And I put a deck of cards and I say, you need to try to pull out the ace of spades. So you have a 1 in 52 chance to pull the ace of spades out of a deck of cards. Pretty sure there's 52 cards in a deck. But then let's say what the key does is, I'm going to remove all the hearts and the diamonds. They're gone. So now it's just clubs and spades. Now you've got a much better chance to pull that ace of spades out. Galen, you feel like we're going to get some Shadow or Arcane Folklore stories soonest, maybe next year. It's a little too soon to go into too much detail, but, again, grain of salt, that is the general kind of, we haven't, we haven't hidden that too much, is the rewards you earn from one area, typically, again, not always, it's a guiding, it's more of a guidance thing than a concrete rule. Hold on, I gotta sound my horn. This is much needed here. There we go. But the rewards you earn in an area often will help you down the road. So, obviously the Kingbot was here, and that's why it's fewer geese than the Infinite Dark Magic Mirrors Trap, is because you should be able to kind of get it, and then the Kingbot will help you earn that Shadow Trap. Because, yeah, it's a pretty safe assumption that maybe the next storyline is going to be Shadow. And it's probably also good food for thought that Shadow and Arcane are kind of like two sides of the same coin. There's often areas where we like to mingle those two power types. So do with that information as you will. We'll let that kind of speculation brew. But quite often when there's a Shadow area, there's an Arcane element going on, or at least not too far in the distant future. Or, there's something going on. Those two power types seem to meet up frequently. When there's one, there's the other. So that's about as plain as day as I can say it without making a promise. Norm, can you show what happens to the Autoharp when you don't have quite enough harp strings to cancel all the noise? But I've got so many harp strings, Norm. All right, here's what we're going to do. All right? I could just take away some of my harp strings, but that will require clicking. That will not be nearly as fun as doing this. We've made a little bit of lavish, okay. Well, we can't really make very much ruby though, can we? Let's just start leaping. Can we use 70,000 harp strings? No, I don't think we can. I think I'm gonna have to take some away, yeah. But basically, if you don't have enough harp strings to cover the noise that you are going to make, so even to see this here, I know we're only in a super room, but so we're gonna make 32 noise per hunt. Let's say we only had 16 harp strings. What happens when you hunt? You'll use 16 harp strings, and then you'll make 16 noise. All right, so basically, or if you're going to make 32, let's say you only had 2 harp strings. You're going to lose those 2 harp strings. Now you have 0 harp strings and make 30 noise. And then when you run out of harp strings, the auto playing turns itself off, and you're empty. Dallas floating island traps work because of the amount of time between releases. Not sure how future players will find it though. And I think that's good food for thought as well. Kind of, it's been a few sort of large epic releases all back to back to back. And I think just a little bit of a better cadence. Kind of, you think about things like sometimes I don't like to say certain areas in case, the gameplay or there wasn't your cup of tea. But if you think about things like the Fungal Cavern, very straightforward. Not a whole lot to figure out. And then came the Labyrinth, Think of Mouse Picchu. Again, kind of straightforward, not a whole lot to kind of, sink your mind or wrap your mind around. And then came the Floating Islands. But, the Floating Islands kind of went into the Folklore Forest region, went into the Beanstalk, and kind of the mountain, the mountain climbing keeps going higher and higher a little bit. So we're looking to kind of bring things down a little bit with the next area, which will also help to produce it a little bit quicker. And kind of get more highs and lows going, get a little bit better of a cadence flowing. With keys so much more common than the feather, are there any situation it would make sense to use a key and not a feather? Well, yeah, I mean, hey, if you had 20 keys and 1 feather, I think I'd start using my keys. Or you can sell them to people who want to be doing that. It's kind of up to you. Eluso says, noted, Shadow and Arcane traps. Yeah. I mean, we may as well not skirt around it. Again, all things subject to change. Hey, work in progress, subject to change. But we are already working on the next Folklore Forest area. And as we've kind of said before, that's why the Shadow Trap is here, because Shadow is going to be involved. And we're probably thinking Arcane is also going to be involved. And wouldn't you know it, Ronza just brought an Arcane upgrade. So you can kind of see how we're laying the track in front of the train just a little bit. But please take that with a grain of salt, just in case while we playtest we have some massive change of heart. That said, we've already started illustrating mice that look very Shadow and Arcane, so that would be a very hard pivot for us to make, so it seems pretty safe. I just get nervous to, make promises before it's absolutely kind of rubber-stamped concrete. Yep, no way it's going to change. Solmore, welcome. You're a returning player from 12 years ago. Glad to see MouseHunt is still going good. Hey, welcome back. I hope you're having fun. Why don't you craft more leaping with the harp strings? I could. Look at this. I'm almost out. I haven't even been paying attention. Hopefully we didn't skip over anything. I am not making a dent in these harp strings. Yeah. All right. So to demonstrate this, hold on. I got to take away some harp strings. Has to happen. Let's do it. Shotgun, Shadow and Arcane lead into Forgotten kind of fits thematically, eh? I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We'll be way too ahead of ourselves, but we did have just a little bit of planning of what would come after. So we've got the Beanstalk. Then you're going to have a little bit of a Shadow and Arcane adventure. And then what comes after that, we already gave a little bit of thought to it because we like to know where we're going with things. But I'm going to keep my lips kind of sealed about that because that is way too soon to be getting into any of that details. And then after that, there's one more thing we're playing. But alas, it is a little too soon for that. What are we doing? We're taking away harp strings. Harp strings. Not sharpshooter eggs. Harp string. What the heck? What is going on? Golden harp string. There we go. All right, how many do I have? I have 67,300. I'm going to remove 67,000 harp strings. Oh no. It's going to hurt to refresh. There we go. We got 300. All right, and now we're going to do this. So we're going to make 256 noise, and we've got the auto harp going. So we're going to lose 256 harp strings right here, which is going to leave us... Why didn't I lose 256 harp strings? Did I fail the catch? I failed the catch. This prince. Can you believe this guy? It's like the kite flyer of the Great Hall. All right. We missed again. Do we have an ultimate charm? Do we have an ultimate charm? Guess what? We're not missing the prince this time. So we're going to make 256 noise, which is going to leave us with just a few harp strings. So now again, we're going to make 256 noise. Our noise is at 0, but we only have 28 harp strings. The autoplay is still going. We're going to click this button. Now we have no harp strings, and look, but we didn't quite make 256. We made 256 minus however many harp strings I had. So my harp strings got used up, and then after that I made the normal noise that I would, and hey, look at this. My harp turned off, and I can't use it without harp strings. And now I have no choice here. The giant's waking up. I'm ending in this extreme room. It's happening. And we're just blowing through ultimate charms. Ice, can you please put that many harp strings in your account as well? Eh? Well, you can put them into your own if you visit the ballroom enough times. Summit, you're a bit disappointed that the map chest does not include high-end charms, really the rainbow and ultimate spore charms expected in the map chest. Eh? Well, you know, they're kind of indirectly tied into there. One of the rewards for completing the Beanstalk adventure is you get to go to the charm shop. And you can purchase yourself some rainbow spore charms. And the keys and the feathers are going to, you know, help you get geese. You can use those. You're going to get ancient charms. It's a pretty good stash of ancient charms. You can roll those up into some rainbows, and then the ultimate spores are just, you know, a marketplace away. So, you know, maybe you're getting some geese. You sell one. You buy a bunch of ultimate spore charms. You take those ancient charms. You turn them into rainbow charms, and now you've made those rainbow spore charms. Sri, you know it's really early, but is the plan to release the next area post-event season? You know, I will say there won't be another episodic kind of area this year. Unfortunately, we're just a small team, and we can't make things quite that fast. But like I said, we're trying to lower the scope of the next one, or maybe the next one or two, so we can kind of get a little bit more regular pace. I think some feedback we've gotten over the years is instead of just one big epic area, is just kind of have many medium areas. And when you add them all up, it's kind of the same size and scale, but just kind of, you know, adds a little bit of variety as well. You can kind of move on to that one and then go back and work on some crowns and move around a little bit more. You get a change of scenery. What time is it? All right. There was one other feedback question. Was it here? Was here. So we're a little all over the place. We've covered the Autoharp. We took a sneak peek at treasure maps. And actually, just as a reminder, you know, August 1st. If all goes according to plan, August 1st, maybe a little sooner. Maybe the week before that. We'll see. We'll see. But if not, then August 1st is looking pretty good to go. We even touched base on the Apple Watch app that Dev Parham has fixed up so brilliantly. We had kind of one more feedback question that I had scribbled down here that came up in conversation while we were working on some stuff. I just kind of want to throw this out here. No guarantees. Just kind of wondering what players are thinking. Are there any objections if your bait disarmed when you use the final piece? And so this is a little bit niche here, but in the beanstalk, it's more noticeable than anywhere. When you use your last piece of bait, technically, in a way, the game's kind of lying to you a little bit. You actually have 0 pieces of that cheese armed. So I don't know. Let's take brie. Let's say you have 1 piece of brie cheese armed and you go sound the horn and you use that cheese up. Now you have 0 brie. If you go to the cheese shop and you buy 5 brie, guess what? Now you have 5 brie on your trap. You didn't have to rearm it because you technically had 0 pieces equipped. Charms don't work that way, though. When you use your last charm, it's gone. If you go and you craft some more charms, they won't just magically appear on your trap and you forgot about it. But the beanstalk seems a little bit more relevant here, and it might have something to do with the harp, and Autoharp will kind of address that. But kind of, I don't know, put that out in the ether, see if it can become a discussion point floating around there. And we tend to keep our ear to the ground. We lurk in a few different avenues and just kind of observe the chat from afar. So I just kind of want to put that discussion point out there a little bit. So any plans to add more variety of cheese to daily rewards, asks Diamond. It's something we review every single release, but no immediate plans right now. Typically it's something we add a little down the road as areas get older. Okay. Flux, can we add an animation of the hunter bouncing off the wall at the end of a hallway as you summon the giant with leaping lavish? With a cute cartoon stunned animation? That sounds pretty cute. But sometimes we gotta kind of pick how much time we have to polish things a little bit. Would prefer to have the bait armed just so I can craft more of it without rearming it. You know what, indeed. So maybe just food for thought. Just kind of bringing it up as conversation, but I think ideally, actually here I can almost do it. Let's make 1 piece of bean stir, right? Like, let's see this in action. Okay, I'm gonna hunt with some bean stir. Let's just get these off. That's stressing me out seeing those ultimate charms being used. All right. Hey, look at that! I caught a mouse. I think this should say bean stir 0, right? Like this, if we keep it this way, at least that would help to know like you have 0 bean stir armed. And you could click here and like disarm your 0 pieces of bean stir if you wanted to. Because now if I craft another piece, bam, it's right back on my trap. I didn't have to rearm it. It went from no bait to bean stir. And I think changing bait frequently enough in the beanstalk, you kind of forget, maybe you come back, you're out of bait, and you forgot what cheese you have armed. And so it's a little bit of a surprise what happens when you make cheese. Like, whoa, why did it go in my trap? So I think that's tripping up a few players, and it's just maybe a feedback thing. If we keep it this way, we should probably try to get it to say, hey, bean stir cheese, 0. You have bean stir armed, but you have 0 pieces equipped. No, you love that you still have cheese armed when quantity equals 0, eh? So there's some love for this. It's often an extra click, yeah. See, where I think I like it this way is especially leaping, right? And now I'm not really set up to leap. But often, I'll make 4 pieces of leaping lavish, and when I come back, if it isn't a room I like, I'm going to make another 4 pieces. And I don't want to click to arm my cheese again. Sean would prefer disarming. It is simpler to keep things running after buying Gouda from the cheese shop. Yeah, it's tricky. Like I said, I think there's sometimes it makes sense, and other times it's more convenient the other way. So it's kind of a coin flip. I like how it is, but I wouldn't be adverse to a change, says Jack. DSC, can you make Ronza more exciting, eh? This year, 1 LE, early gamer, and 1 new Chrome trap. Appreciate more exciting stuff. It's a tough spot. See, it's a tough spot. I get it. Kind of more of something is more exciting sometimes. But if you're a mid-game player, she brought a very powerful hydro trap that will serve you well. If you're an end-game player, she bought a best-in-slot trap. That's pretty darn good. But I hear you. And we just kind of want to avoid reward for the sake of reward, right? If there isn't really, yep, that's a great idea and it has a nice place, kind of over the course of 15 years, it's become a little problematic. Every once in a while, we just add stuff for the sake of adding it because something needs a reward. But there's no reward space for it. It's not particularly a great idea. It's just the only one we had at the time. And so we want to avoid that. We want to kind of space things out and give everything its identity and its reward space. Ron's already brings a lot of stuff, right? If you browse or shop, but I get it. New things are exciting, but just want to make sure we don't overdo it. And we're just adding new things for the sake of new things. Let's sound that horn again. Keep testing out the watch. A chafed cellist. All right. Eric, it would be nice if cheese and charms were both handled in the same way. That's another little caveat to this, eh? I think charms, it's a little bit more pronounced because that is more often a thing. You might have no charm armed, and you used your last charm like 2 days ago or something. Kind of depending on where you are in the game. And you just long forgot that you even had that charm armed, and it's a complete surprise when you buy one from the charm shop or the marketplace or something that just goes onto your trap and you use it. Especially if it's a valuable charm. Maybe you used your last rainbow spore charm and then you've just been on the beanstalk and you're like, you didn't bother getting another charm arm. Then you go to the marketplace and you buy 20 more and you didn't even notice, but just bam, they're on your trap and you're just using them on the beanstalk. You're like, what is going on here? Ryan, you think maybe that happened all the way back with those gemstone boost charms, eh? Sean, all you want is that quantity of charms, eh? Yeah, usually, yeah. This is kind of a test environment. That's maybe a little bit excessive, but maybe we were doing. Sometimes we kind of let the game go and just do a big simulated run to fly through it. So you don't want to run out of ammo while you're kind of seeing what would happen. Alex, can the glitch paw have a permanent location? Yeah, I would kind of like to do that as well, but it's another one of those things on the to-do list and we haven't been able to sit down and get it done. The inconvenience it solves to disarm greatly outweighs the inconvenience it would cause by changing it, eh? Rearming bait is easier than screwing up progress. Yeah, that's fair. Sometimes like what has the bigger downside, and that can kind of flip the decision. I mean, I think at a minimum, there you go. Like Ryan, like you said, if this said 0, at least you know what's going to happen. But I think it's come up in conversation again around the time of the beanstalk. Yari, can you get the mobile dev to fix the lucky golden shield text on the mobile app? Yeah, I mean, fair enough. It kind of just blocks a little bit, eh? It's probably easier said than done because we'd have to find where to put that, right? So, no, probably that's not going to change anytime soon. Any other plans for other watch apps? Galen will keep a close eye. It's a challenge for us because we're a very small team. And even I think we overextended ourselves trying to make an Apple Watch app, to be quite honest. Because it's not just can you build it, you have to maintain it, right? And every time now that there's a Watch OS update, now that might bring in, but now there's one more thing that needs maintenance. But we have the same number of people doing all the maintenance, right? So it's kind of everyone just has a little bit more work to do, but there's no more hours in the day to get it done. And kind of, it's tough. Sometimes you got to pick your battles. Otherwise, other aspects suffer. Maybe, we're not able to work on bug fixes as much, on quality of life, on new content and things like that. So, that said, we were trying to get the notification up and running, and it seemed pretty easy to do. But then that kind of came with the caveat of we also need a watch app if the notification is going to work. And then the notification was out there, and then Apple kind of said, well, hold on, if you have the notification, you need an app. And then it kind of felt bad to give something and take it away. So that's why Parham kind of sat down and he figured out how to adapt the widget UI into a watch. But, it's tough. It's just kind of, we're a small operation here, so it's a little bit tough to spread ourselves if we spread ourselves too thin. Rashawn, you prefer not disarming. You also had a 0 bait Royal Ruby, just crafted, it got armed. Saves the hassle of not arming again. I guess so, but like Nathan pointed out, there's the hassle of having to, I have to click a button, versus the hassle of, oops, I didn't notice that happened, and now I have to go get some more beans, right? One thing saves you maybe 1 second of moving your finger to tap a button, and the other way might save you like 3 or 4 days of having to recollect something, But like I said, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's just there's no right or wrong answer. It's all kind of preference, so it's tricky. Peter, why is stuff like the Tiki base not considered LE? The supply will run out eventually on the marketplace. If it doesn't say LE, there's a chance it comes back. That's what that means. If it is LE, it means there's no chance it will ever come back. So the tiki base could make a return, but alas, there are still some floating around. What's the plan for Halloween? Yeah, probably the Witches Brewing event. Yeah. What's the story of the tiki vase? You're hoping to add it to your collection and hope Ronza would bring it back. Well, I mean, it's something to consider for next time. If she thinks there's demand for something. But yeah, if you really want one, it could be yours right now for 6.2 million gold on the marketplace. So they're out there. If Ronza brought it back, who knows what she would sell it for. So maybe pick one up for 6.2 million. It's available right now. You can definitely spend gold and get it. Any Opus or convertible coming for the eggs? No, not with this release. So basically, this is kind of the last major update for the Beanstalk. Barring some catastrophe or an event comes along, something like that might add a new piece of equipment or kind of spice things up a little bit. But we're definitely kind of focused on what comes next. This is kind of the last major update for the Beanstalk. So even if you're sitting back there and you're kind of waiting for the dust to settle, I know we kind of did one update to the Beanstalk already. You're just kind of waiting to see where it all ends up. Maybe you're waiting for maps to come out, right? This is kind of, as of August 1st when this launches, this is kind of, at least right now, that we're not planning to update the Beanstalk again after this in any significant way, is adding that Autoharp and the treasure maps there. And then kind of after that's sort of it, at least all we have planned for the immediate future. Arctic Wire birthday scrolls on the marketplace and Party Chrome are not. It's probably because you can buy the scrolls directly outside of a limited time or limited sort of purchase price point, and that's probably the distinction being made there. Brandon, you like having your cheese stay around when you run out, but I do think having something show we have 0. Yeah, that might be the winner. I'm kind of leaning that way myself, but we'll give it some thought. I just kind of want to put the conversation out there. Like I said, we keep our ear to the ground. It's very difficult, for a team of just a few devs to speak with 60 to 80,000 players. So we just kind of like to put discussion points out there and just kind of see what conversation bubbles to the surface. You can almost think then we're looking to spark a discussion in and amongst players in the community. And then that kind of acts as a bit of a crucible. It'll kind of filter and refine ideas, kind of polish up the good ones into gems that will naturally be heard. And that's just a more feasible way for just a small number of people to have a conversation with tens of thousands of people. Maybe have a button to disarm the non-existent cheese. I would think so. Again, no promises, but if this ends up being the case, I don't have my visual aid up anymore. Where did it go? If we do change this to say 0 Beanster, then I would think when you click it, you'd be able to hit disarmed, right? Like this will say 0, you'll disarm it, and now you have no bait armed. That said, we'll have to spin it up and kind of make sure the game engine can support that, because sometimes we run into some unforeseen challenges. Perfect for other areas too, not an annoyance at all. Yeah, whenever you're doing sort of cheese-based progression, I think, it just came up in the Beanstalk because it is an area where you sort of switch up your cheese, and your cheese is your main kind of, strategic element you're making. It's kind of where to use what type of cheese, and you switch it up more, and there's a lot of too, just because it's a little bit active at times. There's phases of the Beanstalk where you need to kind of keep a close eye on the game to make sure things go your way. And so there's a lot of small batch cheese crafting, we call it, where you just make a few pieces. So you're often come back and like, oh, I'm out of bait. Okay, I'm going to make a little bit more. So I think that's why it's just it's surfaced in conversation again with the Beanstalk. But, maybe as we move on from the Beanstalk, it won't be a discussion point as much. Do you see, can the daily gift limits be increased? You can increase yours a little bit with the King's Calibrator, and then that's it. So you got to stop somewhere, right? One more pinch of salt will ruin the stew sometimes. So that's, there has to be a limit. Michelle, thank you so much. We're at 55 minutes. That means it's time for trivia. Let's wrap things up. Today's trivia question is, what phrase can make a shadow mouse disappear? You need a dramatic pause before you say the word disappear. It's downright mandatory if you ask me. Peter, you don't understand the upside to disarming bait when you run out. You have to click it either way. So the downside is, imagine you went to bed with just a few pieces of royal armed. You come back and the game says you have no bait equipped. You craft more royal, but you didn't remember that was the last cheese you have armed. And then you sound the horn and it's like, oh, I didn't mean to use that cheese then. You know, and that's kind of what's happening a little bit. Like I said, having kind of, when you come back, you see you have 0 arm, but it might be actually a lot. Like, so many simple sounding things are harder to do than they seem. So I don't even know if we'll be able to do it, but we'll see. There's an expression in programming: if something looks easy to do or easy to fix, odds are it isn't. Otherwise, it would have been fixed before you saw it. Abracadabra is incorrect. I think we might stump. Are we going to stump everyone for the very first time? Should we put a time limit if no one gets it in 4 minutes? This will be the first time ever that we don't reveal the reward link. Probably not. I think this is just a fun way to share a reward link more than an actual challenging trivia question. What phrase can make a shadow mouse disappear? Sure enough, Dallas has it. There you go, Hank. Programmers, we don't do this because we thought it would be easy, but we're doing it because we thought it was going to be easy. I had a moment like that the other day, actually. I need a little break, a little side project to just kind of refresh the mind a little bit. And I wanted to see, could there be some sort of way where when we do scheduled maintenance, your bait can disarm if you want it to, just so when you come back, your trap checks didn't happen on you and stuff. And, at first I was like, I think this isn't too bad. Give me an hour. I'm going to see what I can cook up. And then after an hour, I realized it was a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be. And so we went back and we were going to forget that for a little while. But alas, Dallas is the first hunter in the chat to have the answer correct. And it is indeed from the Magic Mirrors trap. Magic mirrors on my base, vanish this mouse without a trace. Is that an old reward link? I think it is. Hold up. I don't think I made a reward link. I apologize. We'll get that. Okay, we'll get that. That one's probably expired. Let's see. I got too excited by such a fun trivia question. Yep, I've already claimed that. So in case you haven't, though, I'll put this in the chat, okay? I'm gonna call this last week's link, okay? So it's going in the chat. This is from last week. There you go. You can click, if you didn't watch Feedback Friday, if you didn't click this link, it's waiting there for you. We'll make a fresh one right here. I gotta get my man Larry. Gotta get the one, the only Larry here. All right. And this week's link is going in the chat. Let me test this, make sure this works. Hey, look at that. Sweet. I'll take some of that, please. And we'll update this as well so we can put this back on the screen. I forgot the important part, the reward. There we go. But indeed is from the description of the Dark Magic Mirrors trap. Magic mirrors on my base, vanish this mouse without a trace. Last week's is expired, Lily. Indeed, you gotta get on those. You gotta get on them the week that they come out. That was last week's link. Fair enough, but you can check that's interesting actually. If it's expired but you claimed it, you can still see it's claimed. But here's this week's link, just to avoid confusion. All right, the link that started with or ends in 9. That was the old one. Don't click that one. The one that ends in X is the new one. There you go. Obastian's got it. They claimed that gift on June 19. There you go. Rashawn, it worked. Fleming says 5 million harp strings. I'll have you know we put a limit on that. That would be impossible. There's just no way to create a link. 25 is the max. That is the most of anything we can hand out is 25. Larry says, listen, I'm only giving you a link for 25. That's tops. That's my limit. The king said stay within it. He says if I give a link with 26 items in it, he's going to take away my status of friendly knight, and then I won't be able to go past Dracano. Last week's link expired 11 days ago. That wasn't last week's. That was from 2 weeks ago because Jacob did Feedback Friday last week. Alas, we'll figure it out. Yeah, there you go, Dallas Bears. 25 ribs then, okay. The rib isn't even in the box. It isn't on Larry's desk. He's got this stack of papers. There isn't even a rib on there. Well, Last Hunters, thank you so much for joining me. Are we at the hour mark? Oh, we sure are. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Thank you for joining me again. You know, we gave a quick little look here at maps and the Autoharp. Did a demo of the Autoharp. You could see it in action as well. Kind of wanted to put this question out in the wild. You know, again, maybe we don't even end up doing anything about this, you know, just to manage expectations, but just kind of wanted to put that discussion point out there, see if a consensus rises to the top or if it's kind of some people love it, some people hate it. I don't know. But it'll be a bug in our ear. It'll be food for thought, if nothing else, even if nothing happens from it. But thank you for joining me, Hunters. Remember that Ronza, I'm going to look at the date so I don't say it wrong. You can check the latest news post. You can get all the info you need at the bottom. We should probably put that, there we go. Ronza right at the top too. Ronza's going to leave on July 25. Chromebits stop dropping July 18, but you'll have till July 25. Don't wait until July 25 though, because it's during the day of July 25 she's going to take off. So, if you look at the calendar and it's July 24, go spend your Chromebits to avoid disappointment, okay? Because she's going to take off at some point on July 25. So don't leave it till the last minute, please. And then you have probably August 1st. You have to look forward to the Autoharp and treasure maps will be coming. Well, good luck in the hunt, everybody. Once again, thank you for joining me. It'll probably be Jacob joining you next week. I would think it would be his turn, but we shall see if all goes according to plan. Have yourself a fantastic weekend, everybody. Happy hunting.
1, 2.
You're a trap. Don't seem to mind it. You attract me. I'm a mouse, you're a cat. I don't seem to mind it. Soft and furry. Oh, and just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Just when you think you're safe, snap. I come back. You don't seem to mind it, but I'm a fool. Broke my back. You don't seem to mind it, 'cause you're so cool. And just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Ooh. And just when you think you're safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Ooh. Just when I think I'm safe, oh. Turns out I'm never safe. Oh, just when you think you're safe, it turns out I'm never safe. Turns out